It needs an explanation, but the proper explanation is not defined.
That's the question of what do you do with dreams when you wake up?
Why do you do a movie about dreams? And first I say, why not?
Science is a clumsy sort of process. So what you're doing in this movie is what all artists are trying to do, it seems to me, because what you're trying to do is show the picture. I mean, I was thinking as you were talking, here it is, 2006, and as scientists and psychologists and neuroscientists, we don't know what dreams look like. And that what you're trying to do is to not tell us that, but show us that.
It's true, and I remember clearly being in a dream and trying to analyze the definition of the image. So I don't necessarily know that I'm dreaming all the time, but often I do. Mm-hmm. And I remember clearly looking at an image and saying, it's not as sharp as 35 millimeters, but I would say I would compare it to 16 millimeters, although it's getting very blurry on the side. And another time I would be in my dream and say, okay, let's experiment, and I would go into a recording studio that I would find by pushing a door or something, and I would listen to the sound and push the treble and feel, it's interesting, I can really dig into the sound to get more substance. Well, it's a sickness when you're a filmmaker, that when you don't feel you can enjoy life if you don't record it. But the job is trying to make it not as close as possible, because I guess it's not possible, but to keep some life when you record it. And for me, the best way is to de-prepare people. People prepare themselves in the convention that think they want to. They have the idea of how things should be, so they work to give you this idea, and it's very conventional, and I need to erase that to get who they are. So to achieve that, I noticed, because I have done that, but not really consciously, I just give a different order at the last second than I not prepare. I change the camera, I change the direction, I change something at the last minute, and nobody's prepared, and everybody's like on their toes and trying to. They're in a very creative process because they have to readjust.
So you've just described the dreaming process. I mean, that's exactly what dreaming is. Dreaming is breaking you out of your normal set. And it does it exactly the way you do it, by deprogramming. It shuts off your access.
Yeah.
It really shuts off your access to all those memories of events in your life. When you tell the story of your life to someone, it has a strong temporal flavor. You talk about what happened over time, and then I did this, and then I did that. In your dreams, that temporal element of memory seems to be completely disconnected.
Yeah. It's what I've been talking about, those parallels. Like people ask me, why do you do a movie about dreams? And first I say, why not? And then I say, you don't leave cuts, but you dream with cuts, and a lot of elements that really could be compared.
So I would suggest that the reason that cuts work in movies
is because we dream.
Is because we're all familiar with them. My thought is that in addition to making it familiar, because it's something you've seen in all your dreams, these cuts and these juxtapositions, but it also puts a dreamy flavor to the movies, so that the movies shift into a more symbolic mode. I mean, one of the things that has always struck me about all artwork is how easily all people can say, oh, this is a work of art. I should look at it through a different lens than I look at the rest of the world. And so I loosen up my mind, I loosen up my associative networks, I allow myself to read meaning into anything artistic, whether it's a movie or a
and sometimes I think it's as well about to give enough space for interpretation from the viewer.
And there are always people who are profoundly uncomfortable with that. Those are the same people who buy the books to tell them what their dreams mean. Right? Everything has to be laid out for them. because they're afraid to live with the ambiguity of the world.
But to come back to the way what we were talking about before, it seems to me that the scientific approach is to say until the link is proven, it's like you don't assume they are linked. And it feels like when I take the dream and I find really very precise and crisp coincidence that make me think, okay, I don't think it would be any other way. Your job as a scientist is say, well, until it's proven, it could be this or another coincidence or another connection.
So let me start out by saying that I would never say, no, that's not right. That's not how the dream was put together. But it's a frustration for, I mean, science is a clumsy sort of process in the end. I mean, we sort of have these, it's funny because those rules we talk about that never assume that correlation is causation.
Yeah.
Right? That's one of those things that they drill into us from day one. But do you know why they do that? They do it because whenever we see correlation, we, just like everybody else, assume that it's really causal.
And you have to
it's
fight
sort
that.
of, it's a little bit, you know, like masturbation. You know, it's one of those things you're not allowed to do.
Yeah,
no one's quite sure why, but you know, you're not allowed to do that. Don't assume it's causation. And in some scientists, I think it's absolutely self-destructive, because they go to the extent of sort of denying their own creativity. Because really science, when it moves forward in meaningful ways, moves forward because people see correlations that they believe in. And the trick is to maintain some kind of belief, an almost religious fervor about your model, while still another part of your brain saying, yeah, well, that's nice, but show me the data.